The next presentation is from Mr. Alistair Yeomans. He's going to give the case study from the UK. He's been the manager of the Plant Healthy Programme in the UK. Alistair graduated in horticulture from Strathclyde University and worked in botanical garden management at the Arnold Arboretum of Harvard University, where he also became a certified arborist. He's read forestry at the University of Oxford and is a member of the Chartered Institute of Horticulture and is a chartered forester. He's worked in the cultivation and management of plants, and he's been involved in managing salad farms and ornamentals nursery in Portugal and in the UK. And he's also been a member of programs and initiatives on woodlands within the UK, and he's coordinator of the Horticultural Trades Association's Tree and Hedging Group and a research fellow at the Open University in the UK. So I'm very pleased to welcome Alistair. You met him before as he was giving the answers to the questions on the survey that we've carried out, and he's working with us as a consultant. And so please, can we have the presentation for the UK? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Alistair Yeomans. I'm the part-time Plant Healthy Certification Scheme Manager. And my presentation today will cover a bit about the background and rationale for the scheme and also our future plans. So the first question is, why do we need a scheme? Well, I'd like to draw your attention to the Phytothreats project. And this was a project conducted by Forest Research that looked into the distribution of Phytophthora species in UK nursery systems. And they identified that approximately 50% of samples collected from 118 nurseries were positive for Phytophthora or closely related oomycetes, including quarantine pest species not previously reported in the UK. And they concluded that there was a genuine lack of awareness of the risks associated with Phytophthora contamination and spread in the UK. They also conducted another survey of garden centres and nurseries, and the survey focused in on the attitudes towards biosecurity and accreditation. And they found that some respondents indicated that they would only be willing to invest in improved biosecurity practices and or pursue accreditation should new pests and diseases arrive. Now, obviously, the idea behind a certification scheme is to help ensure that new pests and diseases don't arrive and we don't spread existing pests and diseases further. So clearly, there is work to be done here in the UK on that front. In terms of pests and diseases that have arrived in the UK, probably the most prominent one of the last decade is the ash dieback fungal pathogen that has been estimated to cost the UK £7.4 billion in this decade alone. That's looking at it from an economic, social, and environmental perspective. The same paper that estimated the cost to the UK of ash dieback also identified 47 other tree pests not established in the UK capable of causing £1 billion plus worth of damage to the UK. And in 2012, a report indicated that over a 20-year period, 20 new tree pests were detected in the UK. And modelling indicated that if no action is taken to tackle such pests, timber yields in England may decline by 35% by 2080. Now that obviously has implications for the forestry industries, woodland ecology, and also other ecosystem services that are delivered by woodlands, such as carbon sequestration and flood alleviation. And what that really leads us onto is nature-based solutions. The horticulture sector has a great role to play in delivering nature-based solutions, that is providing the plants for various schemes and projects, but we must ensure that these plants are healthy when they're supplied to these projects and that they're supplied through biosecure supply chains. So in terms of the timeline of the Plant Healthy scheme, the idea of certification schemes for plant health was first proposed in the Plant Biosecurity Strategy for Great Britain in 2014, which was a government-produced document. It was produced by DEFRA. By 2017, the Horticulture Trades Association and Growing in Britain had arranged a pilot scheme, which was based on a draft standard, and that was funded by DEFRA. In 2018, the Plant Health Alliance steering group were identified as a suitable body to be the governing body for the scheme. The Plant Health Management Standard 1.0 was released in January 2019. We developed a self-assessment web tool around the same time. Later that year, we produced guidance documents for nurseries and other subsectors. The Plant Healthy scheme was soft launched at Kew Gardens about a year ago in February 2020. And since then, we've produced e-learning modules to help businesses comply with the training requirements of the Plant Health Management Standard. Now, the Plant Health Alliance was set up in early 2018, and the group was convened to promote and enhance plant health and biosecurity to protect plant species in the UK and beyond. The group consists of government agencies, professional bodies, trade associations, and environmental NGOs. And as I said, they are the governing body for the Plant Healthy Certification Scheme. They're essentially the owners or holders of the Plant Health Management Standard, and the standard is essentially 23 requirements to enhance plant biosecurity and improve the health of plants grown, purchased, and sold in the UK. Designed into the requirements of the Plant Health Management Standard are two important concepts. First of all, the World Trade Organization's appropriate level of protection, and secondly, the International Plant Protection Convention's pest risk analysis. Now, these concepts are both normally applied nationally, and in the case of the pest risk analysis, to a specific pest. What we've done with the Plant Health Management Standard has adapted the principles of appropriate level of protection and pest risk analysis and apply them to a site or sites. That is an area where a business or organization is located and where it operates. The key aim is to map pest pathways onto the site and from the site and prevent pest introductions and spread. It's a risk-based approach, so in some ways it's an extension of the regulatory framework. And it really focuses on empowering a business or organization to reach an appropriate level of protection for their site and their part of the supply chain that they engage with. And I should say that Plant Health Management Standard adds to regulation. It still requires a robust regulatory framework for it to be effective. Now, central to the Plant Health Management Standard is the site pest risk analysis process. And a rough overview is depicted on the right-hand side of the screen, which is essentially 9 steps to delivering the site pest risk analysis. And when you measure it up against the hazard analysis of critical control point system, there are clearly some similarities. Now, to flesh out the site pest risk analysis in a little bit more detail, I'll go through the steps. The first set of steps, phase 1, is initiation. That's identifying the site, understanding the host plants, what pests infect or infest the host plants, and mapping the pathways onto a site and from a site. Then understanding the risk, quantifying it, and then controlling the risk to achieve an appropriate level of protection, and then entering into a process of monitoring and continual improvement. Now, what I'll do is just run a quick virtual case study on a nursery here in the UK. So the first thing we want to do is identify the site. So we map out the boundaries. We then want to identify the host plants. So we can do that by downloading the stock list in an Excel spreadsheet, for example. The pests that we're interested in are the notifiable pests, so quarantine pests and regulated non-quarantine pests. And what we're aiming to do is compare the host plants to a database of notifiable pests. And we have that in the UK on the UK Plant Health Risk Register. The Risk Register is a really useful resource that we have access to, or free access to, in the UK. And ultimately what we're looking to do is cross-reference the notifiable pests on the risk register with the stock list of a given horticultural business. And what we've done is we've set up a methodology to help businesses through this process. And what the nursery or the business ends up with is essentially a database that cross-references the pests on the risk register with the nursery stock list. And it enables them to identify the high-risk pests which are associated with the plants that they grow. They're then able to provide some information on the biology of the pest, which is obviously precursory information to how they actually manage that pest in terms of control procedures on their site. In terms of other pathways, we're looking to help the nursery identify the other ways that pests and pathogens can enter onto the site, move around the site, and indeed leave the site. And so we're looking for a mapping process that identifies those pathways. And then ultimately, we'll put that information together and ask the nursery to demonstrate how they've controlled these threats. So enabling them to identify high-risk threats and managing the risk associated with those threats to an appropriate level of protection. Now, the monitoring process is absolutely vital to ensuring that this pest risk analysis system works for a business, and it's really at the heart of the plant health management standard, and it relates to many of the other requirements. And essentially what we're trying to do is provide a useful tool for a business to integrate into their business procedures, enabling them to continually assess what they're doing and indeed continually improve their plant health and biosecurity systems on their site. And we've created a website, planthealthy.org.uk, that enables the standard to be downloaded so it's publicly available. And also we developed a self-assessment tool which enables a business to measure their current practices up against the requirements of the plant health management standard. And at the end of that questionnaire, they're able to download a report that will help them achieve the requirements of the plant health management standard. The self-assessment is easy to do, it's free to do. It just involves registering on the planthealthy.org.uk website and creating an account. And when the business feels like they're ready for a full audit, then they can request a call back through the website. So in summary, we've started a certification scheme for nurseries. We're helping the businesses identify what the threats are and lowering the risk of those threats to an appropriate level of protection. Our future plans are to extend the scheme to garden centres and retailers, landscapers, tree surgeons and public gardens, because they're all part of the supply chain. And obviously we need to protect the entire supply chain. So in closing, what I would like to say is that we have managed to produce a plant health management standard in the UK. I would say that it has all the traits of a proactive systems approach to really help a nursery business protect its site and indeed it's part of the supply chain and beyond. Obviously, we need to evolve this standard, bring in new scientific knowledge and make sure that it aligns well with the regulatory framework for it to be really effective And we'll do that through new versions of the standard that we will periodically review as we go through time. We also need to work with and align, where possible, with other standards and schemes. Here in the UK, for example, there is the well-established Ornamental Horticultural Assurance Schemes. The OHAS standards are comprehensive and cover many other aspects of a business's operations. There is also the UK and Ireland Sourced and Grown Assurance Scheme for forestry whips and transplants that is relevant. We're also looking to roll out the standard to other businesses, as I said, retailers and public gardens, etc. And we need to take in information from all of those sectors to make sure that the standard is fit for purpose for them as well. And also we work together as a Plant Health Alliance. And that's a really, really important element in all of this. That's to get a consensus across government, third sector organizations, professional organizations, trade bodies, so that we can all really get behind one standard and have a unified approach here in the UK. So I'd like to thank the Plant Health Alliance and all the businesses that have engaged in the plant health management standard and the certification scheme so far. I'd also like to thank AIPH for asking me to speak today, and to you, the audience, for listening to my presentation. Thank you very much.